morning, good afternoon. It is Friday, end of the week. It is the end of the week. It hasn't been a very high activity week for me. How has it been for all of you? Put it into the chat and let me know. Good afternoon, Ayakame, bright and early. I hope you're well. On the pound trade from yesterday, stay put. Yep, I'm still holding on to that. Might be a bit iffy, but I'm still holding on to that. Hey, Jumarinas, how you doing? Good morning. Hey, Jimmy, hope you're well. Hey, Nav, good morning. Again, if you haven't already, I think most of you have, but if you haven't already, the link for the Discord channel is there. Do make sure you join us. If you haven't, you're missing out on the discussions, sharing book ideas, sharing trade ideas. It's all there. If you're new to the session, new to the stream, I do know that we have some new people on the session sometimes. Do remember to drop a message and say hi. Let me know where are you joining us from? Where have you been? Right? Where have you been and where are you joining us from? And for all the regulars, a big welcome back again. Thank you for joining me on this Friday, wrapping up the trading week, or wrapping up the very quiet trading week. Hey, Diana from Dubai, I know. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss you on this trip again. We will eventually coincide path and catch up. Anyone else in Dubai, do put it into the chat and let me know. Or anyone in the UAE, put it into the chat and let me know. If you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and ask away. And if you can, I've been doing this for a year plus or even more. I did it for a very long time, took a break and then started again now for a year plus. Do help me out massively by remembering to click on that thumbs up button on this video. And if you haven't already, do make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay, all the do's done. Now the do nots is the disclaimer. Please remember that any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as education material only. Do your own due diligence as the contents of this webinar not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, as your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. All right, now take that away. Diana saying the US yen was weird yesterday. It has been super weird. It has been super weird. Good morning, Angel Case. How are you doing? Yeah, we'll talk about the US yen shortly, right? When we get to that. Okay. Let me see. I forgot to ask, but I guess you guys can see me okay and hear me all right. And everything seems to be streaming well and tracking along. Okay, good. Now, what has happened since the last time we spoke? We had a whole bunch of PMI numbers that was released. We know that. US unemployment claims was a little bit higher than, well, a little bit lower than, US unemployment claims was a little bit lower than expected, and from previous it was 222, revised one up to 223, expected 220, came out at 215, so a little bit better than expected, while the flash manufacturing PMI was 50, well 49.9, revised up to 50 and was released at 50.9. Flash services PMI was, look at that, 50.9, revised up to 51.3, and it's increasing or expanding at an increasing rate because it was expected to release at 51.2. It came out at a 54.8. Quite a big jump here, right? Quite a big jump here. And what we saw because of this news, the 9:45 p.m. GMT plus 8 news from yesterday, was the dollar index, zoom in a little bit, at 9, that candle there, bounced off the trend line, right? So this again brings about that question. Did it bounce off the trend line because there is a trend line, or did it bounce off the trend line because of the news? I would say it's a combination, right? I would say it's a combination. Just to answer or try to answer that question between whether technical analysis or fundamental analysis, which is more important, I would say it comes in together. That's why I always look at the news first, then I'll look at the charts and the technical levels. You don't want to do just one, you want to put it in combination. Okay, so the dollar index pretty much moved as we had expected somewhat, came down, tested that trend line, bounced back up, expected to come down slightly, it came, so these are the line, this line I drew on yesterday's session, not edited, it did exactly that. It came down, tested, pushed back up, came back down slightly, that point there, pushed up, broke above the trend line, extending that slightly to show you, broke above the trend line, that triangle, and pushed up. Okay, but it got up to 105.11 and then it sat there, reason being 105.11. If I put in that line right across, you would see that it matches with that, or coincides with that 61.8 level. Okay, so that whole thing, rather than that, actually is that whole thing is the resistance area, right? Resistance area 50 has been broken, so we take that away. So that is the resistance area we're looking at on the dollar. So that's done, take that one away, moved perfectly, now sitting between 105 and 105.10, between that round number and the 61.8 level, trying to find the next move. That's what we're going to do today. Now, with that said, from yesterday, what else do we have? Just 1 hour ago, we had the retail sales number for the UK. It was 0, got revised down to a minus 0.2, expected a minus 0.5, came out at a massive loss of a minus 2.3%, right? A minus 2.3%. As a result, what we saw right on release of the news was the pound dollar at 1.2690, spiked down to 1.2675, came back up again, now still sitting below that support, now turned resistance level. Okay, that's what we are at now. And Ayakami was asking, right, for the pound trade from yesterday, do we stay put? I'm still holding on to it. I saw it come down, so I had my order at 1.2690. It spiked down, it hit early this morning, right? So I left it there, it came down, hit at that point, and then it's just been bouncing around. It's been bouncing around, came down during the news, now pushed back up. If it breaks past this resistance, I might close out, most likely close out on the trade. I wouldn't hold it to 30 pips. If it breaks past this resistance, I would say that more likely we might see it push back up. Okay, so just to answer Ayakami's quick question on that. Hey Stefan, how are you doing? Diana, USCAD or the Loonie took the trade before the breakout. Fantastic, we'll look at that shortly. Together with Angel K is doing very well on the USCAD and gold. Gold was moving perfectly. Gold was moving perfectly last night. Look at the pound Swiss franc. Yes, we can do that. I will be king and kind to do that. Okay, so now that was the retail sales number that we saw released at 2 p.m. GMT plus 8. Right now, in about 30 minutes time, we have the Swiss National Bank Chairman Jordan speaking. No, King is good. King is good too. Chairman Jordan from SMB is speaking about communication, monetary policy, and public impact at the Swiss Media Forum. Now, I would typically say that it's not going to have an impact. But with the Swiss National Bank, with Chairman Jordan, you never know. You never know. The Swiss National Bank does tend to have a tendency to surprise markets, to talk or to jawbone the Swiss franc in particular directions. So we want to be careful of that. Although I think that the likelihood of it is a little bit lower. Okay. Then G7 meetings through the day. It does sound very good. Pavinator, which brokerage? I'll answer that shortly. Right. Through the day, we have the G7 meetings. We have core retail sales. Retail sales numbers. Retail sales numbers for the Canadians and core retail sales numbers for the Canadians. Minus 0.1 expected for retail sales. Core retail sales looking to go from a minus 0.3 to a 0.3. It was, it does tend to jump around a bit. I would anticipate that it's going to stay around that 0.3 level. Let me think. 0.4 minus, swing back up. Yeah, I think it will be a slightly positive number. We might see a bit of a retracement on the CAD. And then we have durable goods and core durable goods for the US from a 2.6 revised down to a 0.9. A big revision down, and expected to release at a minus 0.9 again. If that comes around, durable goods. Right, so you look at this yesterday, manufacturing went from a 49.9, revised up to 50, came out at a 50.9, a slight increase. And now durable goods would also, so this is change in the total value of new purchase orders placed with manufacturers. This will be the main thing that you ought to see, manufacturers. So it comes to the PMI. So I think that although we might be looking at a bit of a weaker number, it might be a bit of a, could be wrong. It could be. I'm not entirely convinced that it will be a minus 0.9. So watch out for that. Okay, we'll watch out for that. Might see the dollar, if it does come out, then we'll see it trace back down from 105, but it looks like it might be placed in a position where it could bounce off from there. So watch out for that. No, I can't forecast, I can't try and forecast what the number would be, but I'm thinking that it might be relatively flat. I don't think it'll be a big drop. Okay, so we'll look at that, and then consumer sentiment, not a big change expected there. Okay, then with that, because it is Friday, looking into next week, we have Governor Ueda to speak at the Bank of Japan, with the UK on a holiday and the US on a holiday for a spring break and Memorial Day. I think we might see a bit of volatility on the yen on Monday, taking advantage of a possibly little bit more quiet markets. And then on to Tuesday, not a whole bunch of news, nothing much to be released, but I think for for traders, for the members on Discord, I'm actually planning to do, because it's going to be a little bit with no news, I might be doing a live trading session during this day on Tuesday the 28th. So if you haven't already, do make sure you join the Discord channel. I'll give you the info there. Okay, we have CPI for the Aussies to be released. We have German CPIs to be released. GDP for the US on Thursday, together with Chinese manufacturing and Canadian. Oh, we have core PCE price index on Friday next week. Remember, core PCE price index, again, a key inflation indicator for the FOMC. So next week, I'm looking at how it develops for today, and then we'll be looking at, I'm possibly going to look to close that out. We'll look at how the dollar index develops today. We might be looking at some setups through next week as well. All right. Panas, I think the messages are not sending on LinkedIn. I will drop you a message, Panos. I will drop you a message for the Discord link on LinkedIn. Just at the end of this session, I'll send it to you. All right. What was I going to say? Okay, so that's there. I don't want to see pound break 1.27. If it gets past 1.27 strongly, I'll look to close that out. Now, what was I going to say? Okay. Retail sales today, core durable goods later for the US. Then we'll look at the charts now. Okay, we will look at the pound Swiss franc later. Hey Lydia, how are you doing? We will look at pound yen and euro yen for Lydia. I know that's a standard. Hey Augusto, good day, how are you doing? Hey Mwachuku, how are you doing? Good morning. And so which brokerage do I use? I use multiple brokerages. I've got equity, I've got Tickmill, I've got a couple of prop trading accounts as well. So I use all different brokerages for different purposes, during different streams, during different events. I use different brokerages. So, you know, depends on where you're located at, who you're comfortable with, what kind of trades you do. It's quite an open choice. Okay, but you can check out the links, the Tickmill link that I have on my YouTube channel. You can try them out as well. Okay. Now dollar index. I digressed, but we're back to it. Dollar index is sitting right along this support, resistance turned support level at 105. Okay, I'll keep this, I'll drag this up. Move this away, I'll drag this up just to highlight this point, this areas here, and this point here. All right, we don't need that for now. We have this point here as a swing level. Now, if I check this way up, that's my 61.8. Put in the levels. I think this trend line, I can do away with this trend line. I don't need that anymore. Okay. Keep that. I like that point as my support. I'll keep 38.2 as my trend line level. Okay, so that's what I will have. I'll keep this 2 and take that 2 away. Right, so what I'm looking at here, well, in fact, I might not do that. I will probably keep that one. Yeah, okay. So dollar index today being the 24th of May. It's sitting along the support level. If it does trade down, let me just check that. Okay, if it does trade down, I'm still looking for it to bounce. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that it's going to sit here, and I'm looking for it to push up towards that 105.50 level. It could sit there and push up, or it could come back down, test this level, and push back up. So test this 23.6 level, coinciding with the trend line again, before pushing back up. Oops. So that said, that means that dollar index is consolidating at, well, around 105. Break 105.10 to trade up to 105.50. Okay, this week we started right here. This week we started at about this point here. I'm just thinking whether we could run a risk of a retracement day today because it's the end of the week. Right, so unless it breaks past 104.80, so okay, then I would also add that it needs to stay above 104.80 to remain bullish. Okay, there we go. Right, so if it breaks past 104.80, which is about that point there, then I would start, and also that trend line, right? So again, having that triangle, I'm starting to like drawing triangles, right? Having that triangle there. If it breaks past this point, then we might see the dollar index go for that retrace back down. But I think that it could look for that bounce. We'll consider both dollar strength and dollar weakness scenarios moving forward. Okay. Now, with that said, I'll still hold on to that. Kiwi, a dollar, zoom right out. It's sitting right across. It hasn't done that much. We were right here yesterday. We were right here yesterday. It shot up, came back down. It's within that range along the trend line. Right, trend line is still maintaining. 38.2 still holding. I will maintain this view that if it does break that support, we'll be looking to sell because we're anticipating some dollar strength to come back into play. So sit along here, push down. I might even be thinking of a little bit higher. 6070, 20 pip stop loss. 70 pip, you could even go 75 to the downside. I think more realistically, it would possibly be about a 40 pip move. If it does break quite quickly, it'll be a 40 pip, then you could have that chance for 75. Okay, so 6070, I'll be looking for that. Sell at 0.6070, stop loss 20, take profit 75 to the downside. Now, then onto the Aussie. That's come down. If you got onto the Aussie and you're selling it down, I would hold. I would possibly, might be a little bit too early, but you could look to move it down. I think it's a little bit too early. You might want to close it out. Why I'm suggesting maybe to close it out is that I think what I'm seeing is a possible retrace, right? If this drops to this point, it could retrace before turning back down again. So that's what we would, if you didn't get into the trade, wait. If you got into the trade, maybe close it out for a small profit. I see a possibility of a retracement back up. That's broken. I don't actually need that anymore. take that away. Aussie to get to the fair value, and from there see how it will react. Which, this fair value or this one here? I think you're talking about this one down here. Yeah? Is that the one? Yeah, okay. Oh, the one up here. The small one up here. I'm actually, yeah, so that's why I'm looking at this point here. I'm thinking that it could do that back down again. Right, especially if that sits there or pushes back up, or it retraces and pushes back up, then we'll look for that. 6615, yeah, it's right in the middle there. There. So I want to see it test and reject. We're right aligned, half a world away, but aligned in our view. So yeah, looking for that to test and reject. I would be looking at 6610. Stop loss again, no more than 20. 20 is very generous here. And then take profit at 50 to the downside. 6610, 20 and 50 to the downside, exactly as we were talking about. Yep. Okay, then on to the US yen. I can tell you this is what I did. This was, let me just take these lines away first, so it's easier to show you. I was I told you guys during the stream, right? Right after the stream, this is the one that I'm going to be watching. I do think it's going to go up. I'm super keen on it. So right after the stream we did was right at that point there. I saw that, right? It was trying to push up. So I actually placed in, because I had something to do late in the night. So I placed in an order a little bit earlier, and I had it at 157. No, I had it at 157 right there. Not that high. Yeah, 157. I placed that order there, and then I looked at it, and I was looking at that move to the upside. It sat there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, and then I thought, no, 6 hours at 8 o'clock, and I thought, it's taking too long. I don't think it's gonna go up. Cancel the order, and the moment I canceled the order, it spiked up. Fortunately, I did cancel the order, because if not, it would have spiked up, triggered my trade, came right back down and hit a stop. So I sat there for 6 hours holding on to an order, canceled it, spiked up, came right back down, and then it's done. All right, so nothing happened. There are no trades triggered there, but it does look like it's still pushing to the upside. Now let me take that away for now. That's still pushing up. Oops. That's at that point there. Okay, I'll keep this view. We say that if it broke down that point, we look to sell. Take that away for now. You know what? I see something here. Let me see if that works out. That way. I see a bit of a channel to the upside. It could look even like that. All right, so that's that channel to the upside on the yen, which means that what I would be looking out for would be for it to come back down, sit along this point, ideally come back down slightly before pushing back up. Very similar pattern to what we were talking about yesterday. Yep, I like that. So now, looking at this, Diana's are saying that it might retrace to 156.85 and if it bounce from there, it'll be good for long. Exactly, yeah, exactly. That's 156.90. 186, no, 156, sorry, 156.90 was where I was looking at. 156.85 is right there. Again, perfectly in line. The only thing is I'm not sure whether it's going to retrace or just sit across, same like what it did yesterday before pushing back up. Okay, so what I would be looking out for here is, yes, come down to around that 156.80 level. I want to see a bounce, so I would delay a little bit and I'll say 156.95. Stop loss 25, take profit towards the top of the channel would be 70 pips, further up will be 100. All right, so you would be looking at, I'll drag that out a little bit, right? You'll be looking at about 70 to 100 pips to the upside on dollar strength scenario. I'll be looking for it to sit along, retrace slightly, look for the bounce to push back up. So I like that one. Again, this I do like trading the yen. You guys know that much about me already. So 156.95, stop loss 20, take, was it 20 or 25? 25, take profit between, hang on, let me do this. 25, take profit between 70 to 100. Yeah, and again, that is going to be quite high on my list. If it does sit across, then depending on how it behaves or the momentum, I could also be looking for a push back up. Now it sits there and then it just breaks up like yesterday. 157.20, stop loss below the channel, again 20 pips, take profit up there about 75 that way. So there is that two possibility again for the US yen. I think more likely we might see it retrace a little bit, test that trend line or test that channel, bottom of the channel, before bouncing back up. Okay, then onto my pound, right? And this is why that level, the resistance level at 1.27 is quite important. I didn't want to see it break. If it break past that, I would close out. If you're already in the trade, again, disclaimer applies. I would hold on to it. You could close out, wait for it to retrace and see what happens. The reason why I'm tempted to hold on to it, give it a bit of a chance, is mainly because of that news at minus 2.3% on retail sales number for the UK. I do anticipate that that's going to bring about some downward pressure for the pound dollar. Okay, so I would, if you haven't got into this, what I would be looking out for would be very similar to what we had. I would be looking at now maybe a little bit lower. If you didn't get into it yet, I would be looking at 1.2685, stop loss 30. I wouldn't be too ambitious. Oops, 85. Hang on. Okay, I wouldn't be too ambitious on this. I would say come down to that point at 40 pips to start. Okay, that's what I'll be looking out for. I think that it will sit there and then look for that push. 1.2685. Where am I? Okay. We're looking to sell at 1.2685, stop loss 20, 30, take profit 40. Stop loss 30, take profit 40 to the downside. Again, this does present that opportunity that if we see the dollar come down and break that level and push down, then I would say that we could be looking to buy the pound up. Okay, why not from the resistance if price didn't break that? Why I wouldn't sell right up there is because there is that whole bit of, there is a whole bit of indecision here that I wanted to clear first. Right, the risk is that if it does cut, if you sell there, it might sit here and then push back up again. So I wanted to clear that previous low for that downside move. All right. Hey Lingopedia, how are you doing? Good morning. Lingopedia believes that news or data numbers are highly manipulated with the market trend lines. Too much to think about. Too much to think about. I just like, you know, at least I'm looking at the numbers. If it's manipulated, fair enough, it's gonna go against me, but most of the time it works out. Most of the time it works out. If I'm trading into the markets and I'm thinking about manipulation and someone's there someone's being sinister, or the market was being sinister to try and make me lose money, then maybe trading wouldn't be the best thing to do. All right, okay. That aside, now on to the euro. Euro is somewhat performing like we expect. Set there, break that trend line, push back up, didn't come back down. That's why it's somewhat take that away for now. Now let's have a look. We don't need that. That's gonna take that away for now. Looking at this, don't need that dotted line there. I'll keep this to the relevant level. Okay. Give me a second, just checking that one again. Okay, that's fine. In such case, for safe trade, I would look to short from the new low if it breaks that low and retrace. Yeah, look to short from the new low, yes, if it breaks that low and retrace a bit, correct. So it's a bit like, I think you're talking about this one. You're possibly looking at it to break that point, retrace, and then come back down again, then get in. Fair. Okay, euro is just being a little bit interesting. That it's right along that 50% level or area. All right, I'm looking at this point here and that 50, so I'm thinking of this whole point there. The trend line is still holding. If we adjusted that, it doesn't make much difference. Oh, no, it doesn't make much difference. I would be thinking that if this breaks down, if this breaks in that area there, what I could be looking for an earlier move on the euro. This is totally counter trend or counter the bias that we're having right now, is 1.0830. Stop loss would be 30 pips at the very most. Take profit, you have 42, you have 60 to the upside. That resistance makes sense, but I want it to the more recent level. I'll change that around. Then I'll look for that. Yep. Yeah, so I'll look at this on the dollar weakness. We've been talking about dollar strength all the way. If we do see that dollar weakness, then I'll look at this to push back up, finding a good support along that 50 level and 1.08 level as well. So looking for this to push up. That's fair. You can look to get in a little bit earlier as well, but I think no harm at 1.0830. So euro dollar, I sell at 1.0830, stop loss of 30, take profit of 60. Stop loss of 30, take profit of 60. We're not looking to sell, we're looking to buy it up on dollar weakness scenario. Then on to as a totally counter trend idea, we were looking at so much of dollar strength scenarios, considering this as if it finds that support on dollar weakness, we might see this bounce off in that fashion. Right? Naturally, if it does push down, dollar strength comes back into play and it pushes down, it's straightforward. You can look to sell it down this way, 1.0795, stop loss tight, no more than 20 pips, take profit. You have 30 something down to 70 to the downside. But I'm just considering the possibility of that bouncing back up. Yeah. Oh, okay, thanks for that. Yes, now it's a buy. It's slightly delayed on the comments, but thanks for pointing that out, Diana. Now, I like that one more. I don't like it more, but I'm just keeping it as another option. All right, then on to the US Swiss franc. It's 2 minutes to the news. I don't know whether he's going to say anything crazy. We'll skip that for now. We'll come back to it. Give it 2 minutes to see what happens. The USCAD, which I think Dinah did well on it, and also who was it? Angel Case who did well on the USCAD. Because we were looking at it, we're looking for that pop, right? We're talking about it to buy it up on the US CAD on the event that we saw it break above that trend line. So that's worked out quite nicely, right? You could have up to a 30 pip move to the upside. Now at this point, and it's broken at 61.8, so that's done. Take that away. At this point, trend line, done. Take that away. Okay. Don't need that. Now let's look at this from the bottom to the top. Put those in. That makes sense. That 38.2 right there. Sitting right across. Remember, we do have retail sales numbers for the Canadians, and it might be a minus 0.1 on retail sales. Although core retail sales might come out a little bit positive. So it might be a bit of a mixed bag there. Considering that, then I think I wouldn't do anything on the US CAD for now. Right, I wouldn't do anything on the US CAD for now. In fact, I'll take that away because we don't need that yet. What I'm expecting it to do is consolidate along this point and then look for it to push, and I'll look for that rejection of that resistance. I'll look for potential rejection of that resistance. Then you'll be looking at a 1.3775, stop loss 20, take profit. You have big downside potential like what we've seen on the 1st of May. Right, but I think that it wouldn't happen. I don't think this will be today. I think this might be next week. We're looking for that to push. Alternatively, consolidate and push back up. I'll wait. It's right in the middle there. So it's right in the middle. I wouldn't be too comfortable to get into any trades at that point, right? So in fact, I would say that USCAD would be a wait for now. Matt Nicholas, how are you doing? Good morning. Contrarian Euro strength. Yep, contrarian Euro strength. How does that work with the pound yen and the Euro yen weakness? We'll get to that shortly. Well, actually, we'll get to it now. Pound dollar is sitting right under 1.27. So looking at the pound yen, take that away, that did not trigger. Still trending to the upside. We're looking at the US yen consolidating, retracing slightly to push back up. So on the pound yen sitting right there, I would like to say that it's going to go higher, but you know, well, we know that at that point it's super high. The last time we got to this point was in April, where it shot up and came right back down. So I'll be super careful of that. I don't need that, that's done. Right, so at this point on the pound yen, I would say that you could be, I would say that it looks like what's going to happen is it's going to break out, but you're going to be looking for a reaction along that point to sell it back down again. That looks like I just drew the Avengers. Yeah, so if you wanted to trade it up, you would have about a 70 pip move to the upside, tight stop of 30 that way to trade it up, look for reaction, you know, right to that previous high. Could go a little bit more, but I would say right to that previous high would be a good approach. Then looking for a possible break back down, or alternatively it might just sit there and push back down if the pound dollar sits there and pushes back down again. Okay, then again onto the euro. Now still looking like it's pushing back up. Maybe we'll look to what happens on the dollar index, trying to break that support level. Euro yen pushing back up, so I would say that continuation to the upside with the trend line supporting it higher. We've done that rejection already, that's worked out well. Now if it does break past that point, then you would, and the euro does push up following that trend line, breaking the previous high, euro pushing higher, you could be looking at 170.35, 60 pip take profit, tight stop no more than 30 that way. Okay, that's what I would be looking at on the euro yen. Then now 5 minutes after the news, nothing crazy said, doesn't sound like anything crazy is coming out from the SMB. So Swiss didn't trigger, take that away. Trend line holding with the support. On the event that we see dollar weakness, now that it's consolidating along this support level, we're looking for that break to the downside, trending that way. 23 is here, but I feel that 23 would be a bit too late to get into. I would say that you look at that point, that swing level there on the trend line, So look for it to break the support, look for it to break this 1.9125 level. You'll be looking to sell down 9120, stop loss 30, take profit, I would say 50 to start off with, down to this 50% level. Okay, so that's what I would be looking out for. On dollar weakness scenario, for it to break that support and head to the downside. So 9125, 30 to 50 to the downside. Sell at 0.9125, stop loss 30, take profit. Oh, wait. 30 to 50, yeah. Take profit 50 to the downside. Then with that, US Swiss franc possibly pushing back down on dollar weakness. That one sitting there could push up. I'll sit there looking for a bit of push down. Then pound Swiss franc, it didn't trigger that rejection, but dragged this right up. That resistance is now a support, which does it, okay, coincides with that point. Sit there. Support level here, I would say that's fair. Put in some levels again, 50. That point like that. So what I would be thinking is that there seems to be a bit of a rejection at this point. If the US Swiss franc does push down, pound Swiss franc is going to push down. Looking at a pound dollar, still waiting for its decision. If it does push down, then we might see this push lower. I think ultimately we need to figure out what happens at 1.1575. We need to figure out what happens there. It could very well come down here, bounce back up, but I would be more tempted to look for that break to the downside. Then you'll be looking at about 1.1560, stop loss 30, take profit 60 to the downside on the pound Swiss franc. Okay, so a bit of waiting to do there. Then on to gold. Gold did perfectly as we had expected. We were saying this below 23.50 could trade down to 23.30. It broke 23.50, so it sat there, bounced back up, rejected that level, came back down, broke 23.50, came down to 23.30, and it's sitting along that point right now. Okay, so that worked out. Again, good job for Angel Case who caught gold. Anyone else did that? Let me know. It's sitting at this point right now. If you consider, I don't think the fib levels would work on this. I think it's all done. Yeah, that's done. So fib level is not relevant now. For the downward move, it's going to sit along that point. That trend line is broken, so we don't need that anymore. Looking at this, don't need that. All right. So what I'm actually thinking from here is that we do have that one point there. We do Gold moved when I was asleep. Yeah, well, it does. We're in the wrong time zone, that's why. I'm thinking that whole thing is a support area. And I'll move that down to highlight this point, which is that the one that we were talking about here on 23, and we're on the 2300 level. So what I'm actually thinking here is that it could sit along this point, right? If it breaks 2325, then we'll see it go down to 2300. Okay, so I would say below 2325 to 2300. Could trade down to 2300. There we go. That would see that gold dollar index pushing down, but gold is just sitting right there. It might even retrace up before pushing down. We want to see the rate. Basically, you're going to wait for the retracement to complete first, right? So I would add on to that and say wait for retracement to complete below 2325. It could trade down to 2300. What about 2400 mitigation? 2400. If you're talking about gold, 2400 is up there, way big distance away. I don't think it'd be something for now, unless we see something crazy, but I don't think it'd be for now. On the H4 time frame, we are looking at what is possibly in a longer term view, what looks like a possible scenario. We have a higher high, well, we've got high, we have a higher high, we have a low. What we're looking for is for it to come down to 2300, form a bit of a higher low at this point, then we could be looking for it to do that next move, maybe on the H4 time frame, depending, subject to many other scenarios as well. Okay, so that's what we're looking out for. And with all that said, have I missed on anyone's questions? No, don't think so. Link for the Discord channel is there. Again, if you're on LinkedIn, reach out, I will send it to you. Weekends ahead, please, if there's no big trades, don't rush into anything. Do I do scalping for gold? I do when I'm able to catch the move, not always happening at the right timing, not always able to scalp it at the right timing. So when it kind of aligns, when I'm sitting there and it's moving, I do like to scalp on that. Yeah, next week is another week. Enjoy your weekend. Have a great weekend. Trade well, trade safe. I will see you all on Discord. If not, then I'll see you on the stream next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.